Hello everyone, welcome to Worlds 2011 with me, Rich Hagon, and the Pro Tour historian, Mr. Brian David Marshall. It is going to be an amazing, amazing Super Sunday here at the Magic the Gathering World Championships in San Francisco. BDM, set the scene for us if you would. What are we going to see through the day?
We're going to see a lot of Tempered Steel today.
Okay.
Played by four tremendous players from the game's dominant super team, Channel Fireball.
Yep.
We are going to see a historic Player of the Year race that could very well go beyond the finals of this Pro Tour into Hawaii next year.
And we're going to see the Team World Champions crowned as well, plus the Magic Online final. So much to get through. Let's start with a player who you will not see on camera today until possibly very, very late this afternoon, and that is Owen Turtenwald of the United States. He is the current leader in the Player of the Year race, and he has 64 points, and his season is over. He can get no further than 64.
He ended up finishing 33rd this weekend. He was paired in the last round against a teammate and did not feel like he could, you know, get a scoop, a draw, whatever you know you might see in that situation. He felt like he had to play, you know, and as a result, he is just fractions all from 32nd and that crucial extra point. That extra point is tremendous in this race.
There are 4 quarterfinals, 3 of them impact Player of the Year, because there are 3 players who can beat Owen for Player of the Year. But our first quarterfinal doesn't have any Player of the Year implications, and that is Conley Woods of the United States against Craig Wesco of the United States. So the case for Conley Woods. He's from Team Channel Fireball. He's playing the Tempered Steel deck. He is undefeated in 3 days of play. His record says 16-2. The 2 are, oh, you're Luis Scott Vargas, I don't want to play against you, and, oh, you're Palavida Dama de Rosa, I'm not going to bother playing against you either. He has sat down and tried to play Magic 16 times. He has won 16 times. Conley Woods cannot be beaten. BDM, make the case for Craig Wesco.
Craig Wesco went undefeated in Standard, playing his Geist aggro deck. Conley's due.
Oh, okay.
And Craig has been playing tremendous Magic all weekend. I think that this is a fairly even match that should haymaker back and forth over 5 games.
Oh, so you're going for the deep run for Craig at the very least?
At the very least.
Okay. Let's move to quarterfinal 2, shall we? The first of our Player of the Year implications. Let me tell you about someone you may have heard a little about, Luis Scott Vargas of the United States.
I really thought you were going to lead with Richard Bland there.
Oh, do bet. Oh, missed a trick, didn't I? Oakland, California, 28 years old. This is his 5th Pro Tour Top 8, champion of Berlin in 2008. He's playing Tempered Steel. He's the leader of Channel Fireball, the unofficial mayor of worlds, as you referred to him, BDM, through the weekend. He's surely unstoppable. BDM, make the case for Richard Bland of England.
No. This is a very bad matchup. Richard Bland did not have a good standard leg to this World Championships.
3-3. He was 1-3.
He was 1-3 and all but had checked the drop box on his result slip after round 4.
At which point?
At which point
we had a little conversation.
You talked him into...
What are you talking about? You can still win worlds.
People have done it.
Yeah.
And he stayed in, and he didn't lose again until running afoul of Conley. He's playing green-white tokens. Okay. Certainly if he can stick a hero blade hold, certainly if he can get his Gavany Township going,
yep.
He's capable of winning, but it doesn't seem like it's a very good matchup for him.
Okay. Now, here's the deal with Luis. Owen will be Player of the Year if Luis loses his quarterfinal and Paolo and Josh, you'll be hearing about them in a minute, fail to win Worlds. So from Owen Turtenwald's point of view, LSV must lose to Richard Bland. Owen Turtenwald probably draped in the Union Jack roundabout now, one would think. For Luis, it's a bit more complicated. If he makes the final, he will be your Player of the Year. If he loses his semi-final, he will still be Player of the Year if Paolo and Josh fail to win Worlds. So the first port of call for Luis is get rid of Owen by beating Richard Bland in the quarterfinals. Then, potentially, he can be Player of the Year. But if he makes the final, that's it. He doesn't need to win Worlds to be Player of the Year. So that is the scenario for Luis Scott Vargas. Richard Bland, good luck. Rumour has it you're going to need it. But congratulations on being here anyway. God save the Queen. Let's go to quarterfinal 3. More Player of the Year implications. Let me tell you about a young gentleman by the name of Paulo Vitor Dama de Rosa of Brazil. He's 23, just the 310 lifetime pro points. You know, level 8, as you do. And talking of 8, that's the number of Pro Tour top 8s this gentleman has. Oh, and 4 of those are at Worlds. Never been done before, Mr. Historian. Unbelievable. He's playing Tempered Steel. 4-2 in Standard. I'm going to give you that as you start to make the case for David Kaplan of Canada.
I think there's a compelling case for David Kaplan here.
Really? Okay.
I do. Their matchup is probably 50-50. It would slightly favor David game 1, which would give him the edge in the match, but Paulo will be on the play. So it's kind of 50-50 throughout.
Okay.
It's going to come down to Spell Skites and Tempered Steels, but David is certainly capable of winning this match. He went 6-0 in Standard, then played in the Mox, went 3-0 in Standard before losing in the 4th round of. So it took him 10 rounds to take a loss in Standard on day 1.
Do you not think the 310 life points versus 8 lifetime pro points makes a difference? Or the level 8 against the level 1? Or against the 8 Pro Tour top 8s against the 1 Pro Tour top 8?
It certainly does. And also something to factor in, David Kaplan has played a lot more Magic this weekend than all but one other competitor in the top 8.
Yes, he's been a busy boy, to put it mildly. Ooh, sounds like we've got some excitement out in the hall. Too much me. Sorry about that, everyone. I hope you're hearing me loud and clear, but not too loud and clear at home. Now, Paulo can be Player of the Year if he wins Worlds. Period. It's very simple. Win Worlds, you're Player of the Year. So he would simultaneously wrap up Worlds and Player of the Year. And go back 12 months ago, as we watch him in virtually identical scenario, where he's within a game of being Player of the Year before he then plays for World Champion. So here he is all over again.
And he came to Worlds needing to... He came to Worlds needing to make top 8 in order to make level 8 and lock up the highest level of benefits for next year.
Okay, one more quarterfinal to tell you about. And this time, we've got Josh Utter-Layton of the United States. Well, he's from San Jose, California. He's 25. He's part of Team Channel Fireball. 111 lifetime pro points, which doesn't sound super impressive. I mean, it's still, you know, pretty terrific. But then you think he's only been playing for 4 years. 2007. He started playing this game. And here he is, a level 7 pro, Pro Tour San Juan in 2010, the US National Champion 2010. He's playing Tempered Steel. He's been locked in a room with the best players on God's Earth. BDM, please make the case for Yunya Ienaga of Japan.
Yunya Ienaga is a 3-time Grand Prix top 8 competitor. He won Grand Prix Kirikushu in 2007. He also was a national champion, Japanese national champion.
He was?
For about 2 hours in 2005.
Okay, go on. How does this occur?
He's playing in the finals of Japanese Nationals.
Yep.
Against, I believe it was Fujimoto. And he wins the game. And he wins the decider, and he is your national champion.
Awesome.
And then they realized there was this complicated misplay with a Frostling and a Sword of Fire and Ice and protection from red. And they're like, how does this work? And they realized he'd made a misplay. And there was a camera on the match. There were detailed notes about everything. And they decided to go back and recreate the game. This is not something I think we're ever going to see happen again. They decided to go back and recreate the game from that point. And then Ienaga lost the game. So for about 2 hours, he was the Japanese national champion.
Okay. Well, that's pretty good. I mean, you know, most of us will never be Japanese national champion, even for 2 hours. So here's the deal.
He's also a Mox competitor, I just want to point out. And he is very, very tired. I think he is a dark horse to win this event.
Okay.
Certainly dark horse on reputation. His deck seems well positioned.
Now, Josh Utter-Layton can be Player of the Year, just like Paulo, just like Luis, just like Owen Turtenwald. The deal for Josh, he has to win Worlds, and LSV has to lose his quarterfinal to Richard Bland. That will make Josh Player of the Year. Now, if Josh wins Worlds and LSV loses his semi-final, we have a tie for the second year running. That's the scenario in that one. Can't imagine what you want to happen. Oh, wait, yes, I can.
I would like Owen to get one more point retroactively and have the three-way tie, but...
Can't have everything. Maybe next year. Now, Rookie of the Year. Thank goodness this is very straightforward.
Very straightforward.
Explain.
If Team Norway wins, we have a tie for Rookie of the Year. If Team Norway loses to Japan, then Matthias Hunt is your Rookie of the Year. He's on 31 points. We have...
So it's Sveinung Bjornerud. Been practicing that one.
Sveinung Bjornerud is on 25 points. Second place is 5. First place is 6. They lose the team championships. He's on 30, tied with Fabian Thiele for second. If they win, it's a tie. We resolve it in Hawaii.
So we could have a Rookie of the Year and a Player of the Year playoff in Honolulu in February at Pro Tour Dark Ascension.
Correct.
Okay, that'll be lovely. Let's see whether we think that's likely as we put BDM on the spot, and he will exclusively reveal to you how everything's going to play out. Possibly. So let's start. Woods against Wesco, Tempered Steel against Geist Aggro. How do you see it going? You've already said it's going to go deep.
I think it's going to go deep. I think it's going to go 5 games. I expect that Conley's going to win.
Okay. Little irony for you. Conley, in Modern, on the last day, yesterday, was all over Geist of St. Traft as going to be a great card for Modern. And it's possibly Geist of St. Traft that is going to cause him a lot of trouble in this standard matchup from Craig Wesco. Craig, we did a deck tech with him, and he said he just loved the deck and loved Geist of St. Traft. So you're going to go with Conley.
5 games.
Okay, well, it's hard to argue. Conley has been unbeatable this weekend. So that would be the top match in the bracket. Number 2, Josh Utter-Leighton against Yunya Ianaga. Now, you've already said you feel Ianaga is well positioned.
I feel like Ianaga is going to win this in 4 games.
Okay. So that potentially gives you a Woods-Ianaga semi-final in the top bracket. What about the bottom pairs? Louis Scott Vargas against Richard Bland.
I have Louis Scott Vargas in 3 or 4 games. I'm sorry.
Obviously, I have Richard Bland in 5, but yeah, okay. And then finally, David Kaplan against Paolo Vita Dama de Rosa.
This is a 50-50 matchup, according to everyone who's tested it. The red deck might be advantaged if you don't know you're playing against a red deck.
Okay.
Knowing you're playing against a red deck, knowing what their sideboard is, I'm gonna give the advantage to Paulo in 5 furious games.
Your hypothetical fantasy semi-finals see Woods then against Ianaga.
Correct. I see Ianaga through to the finals there.
Okay, and then you have Louis Scott Vargas up against.
Against Paulo Vitor Dama de Rosa in one of the most high-profile, amazing semifinal matchups of all time.
And who would you see winning that in the... Is it 75 card mirror or is it 74 card mirror?
I see the Tempered Steel player advancing to the finals.
Oh, well dodged.
Yeah,
very good.
I mean, I think it's going to be LSV.
Okay, but in either case, you then have Ianaga waiting in store for going, I've killed off one Channel Fireball guy, I've killed off another Channel Fireball guy, and now I'm sitting in the final ready to kill off a third.
At which point maybe the toll of playing this much Magic, exerts itself on Ianaga. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to imagine that if LSV gets to the finals of this World Championships, he's not going to find a way to win, but I do think Ianaga is advantaged in the matchup.
So you have Yunya Ianaga as World Champion. Who do you have as Player of the Year?
So if Ianaga is the world
there's your
champion,
permutations for you. You think he beats one of these two? Paolo needs to win Worlds. LSV makes the final. He's Player of the Year. So if LSV beats Paolo in the semis, you think it'll be LSV therefore?
Correct.
Okay, so you have LSV as Player of the Year, Ianaga as World Champion, Rookie of the Year. Now, that depends on the team. So what happens in Japan against Norway this afternoon?
I talked to the Norwegian players. I haven't talked to the Japanese team. When I talked to the Norwegian players, they're like, we have 3 unwinnable matchups.
Oh.
They think it's very, very bad. This could just be sort of a European pessimism that we certainly see him, kind of historically American players are always like, oh, we're going to win this. And, European players are always like, oh, my matchup's pretty terrible. And both usually end up being somewhere to the south or north of what they actually anticipate. But I think that Matthias Hunt is going to be your Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
I'm obviously rooting for a tie.
Of course you are. Well, we're going to get the chance to see how the players reached the top 8 this weekend. Hopefully we've got some graphics queued up for you for that. We began the week with 6 rounds of Standard. Then day 2 was 6 rounds of Draft. Day 3, 6 rounds of Modern. So let's see if we can take a look at how they got there. The big story really was Conley Woods. Here we are, how they got there. There's your top 8. Round 1, everybody wins except Richard Bland. Let's go on a couple of rounds to halfway through Standard, and at this point 6 of them have their perfect records. Bland at 1 and 2, he's about to go 1 and 3. Let's take you to the end of day 1 at round 6. You see Conley with the perfect record. Yunya Yanagida, perfect. Kaplan with his mono red, perfect. Geist aggro for Wesco, perfect. Let's go on 3 more rounds. This is the first 3 rounds of Draft. Still Conley Woods hasn't lost. Paolo Vita powering up by winning his draft. You see Adelona getting to 24 points, and then similar for Kaplan and Wesco. Bland from 3 and 3, he wins his first draft. 3 more rounds to take you to the end of day 2. Conley still undefeated, absolutely crazy, 6 points clear of the field. His teammates DeRosa and Scott Vargas up next, and Kaplan and Wesco, and then right down the bottom you still see Richard Bland. He was undefeated in draft but had a draw to get him to there. On we go, 3 more rounds to the end of round 15. Conley is comfortably in, and at this point Paolo and Luis and David Kaplan, they're all looking at 1 more win from the last 3 rounds to get them in, but things are going to get a little bit complicated. Further down, Adelona needs 3 wins, Bland needs multiple wins, so let's see what happens as we hit round 16. Conley, 45 points. Paolo, now he can ID in. Luis Scott Vargas, the same. Everyone else still needs wins. Let's go to the penultimate round, round 17. And now, all 3 of the big 3 of Channel Fireball are in, Conley, Paolo and Luis. At this point, Yanagida and Kaplan think they can ID. I can tell you that Ruben Schneidervent, the Dutch national champion, also was on 39 and felt he could ID the final round. Wesco on 36. Realistically, how was he ever going to get in on 39? Didn't seem likely. Yanagida just going, yeah, I can ID this, this is fine. For Bland and Adelona, it was very straightforward. They were going to face a last round match where they had to win. It was going to be Josh Adelona against Nico Boni, former Team World Champion. And for Bland, he faced the Hall of Famer Rafael Levy, who was on a mission to try and overtake Kai Buddha in lifetime pro points by getting to 504 by winning Worlds. Here's what happened in the final round. It was extraordinary. It was unprecedented. Woods, DeRosa and Vargas all played their final round in a desire to try and see whether either Owen Turtenwald or Ben Stark could somehow miraculously pull out the tie breaks to get them into the top 8 on 39 points. Didn't happen. Conley destroyed David Kaplan in the final round. It was a real roller coaster for Kaplan, who must have thought, having won his penultimate round, he was in, and then thought, being beaten by Woods, he was being knocked out of the event. So he had an incredible thrill ride ultimately to get in here, and there you see, sneaking in the back door, 13 and 5, Craig Wesco. And Ruben Schneidervent, very tough luck for him, literally did get dream crushed and finished 9th. So that is how they got here to the top 8 of Worlds 2011.
It was easily one of the most dramatic last 2 rounds of a Pro Tour I've ever been to. Normally these events are very predictable. Everything sort of falls into place. There's some handshakes. Maybe there's one match that matters, but we actually had no idea how this was going to play out as we came down the stretch. It was fascinating to watch. It was certainly one of my favorite memories on the Pro Tour. Is day 3 of this event.
It was quite extraordinary. Now, how much of that was due to Modern? Because Modern, a lot of people were nervous about. There were a lot of kind of, you know, half smiles coming into the building in the morning. No one felt they had a great deck. Very different to Philadelphia, where there were any number of people who were like, hey, BDM, I think we've got something, you know, and they pull out the secret deck from the backpack, and that didn't really happen yesterday. What was your take on how Modern went yesterday at the at Worlds.
There were actually a couple people who did feel like they had the secret deck. It was mostly people who were playing Past in Flames.
Okay.
Felt like they had the deck, but Zoo really kind of seemed to rule the day.
And as you said, there were so many different flavors of Zoo. You had your as small as we can possibly get. Kaplan was playing Loam Lions and so on. And then you had Bland with his big Zoo teaming up with the Norwegians. You had Channel Fireball talking about Kibler Zoo with Lightning Angel.
They had three different types of Zoo just on Channel Fireball alone. You had Lightning Angel Zoo, you had Snapcaster Zoo, and you had the Geist Zoo.
Well, the players are ready.
Oh, exciting.
Conley Woods against Craig Wesco. Josh Adelona against Yunya Ianaga. Louis Scott Vargas against Richard Bland. And David Kaplan against Paula Vita Dama de Rosa. It's time for the quarterfinals.